Hi, and welcome to Shondi's Kitchen. It's that night again. It's clean out the fridge night, and I am excited to share some I had some eggplant, this beautiful eggplant from the farmer's market, which was grown within a couple hours of where I live. And so I've got different sizes. And, sometimes you'll get a recipe that says, use, one zucchini or 3 eggplants, and that's what this one said. And as you can see, there's a huge difference between these two. So I like to measure things out in cups and let people know. So I try to have all my recipes be, how many cups of this or how many cups of that. And then I got some beautiful, these beautiful, what I call happy eggs from my friend right here in the town where I live. And I got to go over and meet her chickens. If you read my email a little while back, and her chickens just came. She was coming out with scraps to feed them. They just literally came running up to her like like children would run up to their mom. It was really, really cute. So let's get started right away. And I'm going to change my camera here to show you what I'm doing. So I've got the eggplant slices here. You just slice them into either, I like them a little bit thinner. You can go thicker, but I try to stay about 1/4 of an inch. So I've already sliced some of them up. And so that's what we're going to do here. And then I have another bowl here where we're going to put the eggs and whisk the eggs. Again, if you want to do this dairy-free, you can use a cashew Parmesan. And then you can also do, if you don't want to include the eggs, you can do a flax egg. And the one thing I love about how you can tell a happy egg is you can see what a bright orange this egg yolk is. It's not like that dim yellow. When you have a dim yellow yolk, that just means that poor chicken was stressed out most of its life. And so I'm just going to crack these in here, whisk the eggs together. So that's how you can tell. And I've even purchased some organic eggs before that. Just because they say organic on them doesn't mean that the chickens were actually raised like a chicken is supposed to out in the field, just out in the pasture and running free every day. So I'm just going to whisk these eggs together. Make a little coating so we can coat this eggplant. This is eggplant season. It usually starts the last month of summer and then into fall. And then we've got a cup of almond meal. And you might say, well, almond meal is so expensive. Well, actually, it's not if you make your own. And it's super easy because this is the byproduct, or this is what's left over when you make homemade almond milk. Because you soak the almonds, you blend them, and then you kind of milk them like you would a cow or a goat. And what's left is the pulp. And so you just dry that out either in your oven or in the dehydrator, and then you blend it up in the blender, and this is what you get. So it is very inexpensive. And I can make almond milk start to finish 8 minutes. And then it doesn't take much time to put the stuff in the oven, and then you just walk away. So this is you can use Parmesan cheese in this recipe. I have made a cashew parm. And so we're just going to mix those together in another dipping bowl, and we're going to coat the eggplant with. I've preheated the oven to 375. And then we're just going to add seasoning. I'm just going to add some kelp instead of salt. And I'm just going to add just a pinch of sea salt. And I love things with a kick, so you could use fresh black ground pepper. I'm just going to add a little bit of cayenne. And that is all there is to it. Then we're just going to take these slices. And kids love to dip things in from one to another. So you could have a child in your family, just do this. So I've just got all of these pieces sitting in a bowl, and then I'm just going to turn them over and take them out, dip them in this coating. And so it's going to turn out like this. And then I have a pan over here. I've just lined it with some parchment paper, and then actually what I'm going to do on top of that is I have some avocado spray here. I'm just going to spray the parchment paper just a little bit. and just to lightly coat that as well. And then you're just going to place the slices right on there, just like so. And you know, when you go to a restaurant, usually is when you have eggplant parmesan, and the problem with it is that it is just, it has tons of cheese usually, and also you don't know where, you know, how that cheese was produced as well. And so it's really important that we pay attention to the source of where we're getting our food, and because it really does make a difference in the nutritional value and how our bodies can use it or not use it. So I've been experimenting with some different things this week, and I will show you here in a few minutes. I got a whole bunch of zucchini. If you're drowning in zucchini yourself, if you have a garden, you can actually, I showed you in my freezer last week that you can just grate zucchini up, right, and put it and freeze it. And so I have done that with some of my zucchini, but I wanted to try some different things this week. And so I tried a zucchini hummus, and the fun thing about being in the kitchen is, and sometimes we make stuff and it just turns out amazing. And other times we make stuff and it's not so amazing. So, I collect recipes, and make up my own recipes all the time. And so I had this recipe for this zucchini hummus, and, and as I was doing the recipe, I was like, oh, this seems like a lot of tahini, but I went ahead and followed it, and it actually turned out horrible. And so I, went ahead, I just decided I was going to fix that. I was gonna save the dip. And so I started adding, luckily I had more zucchini. I started adding more zucchini. I added some more spices, and actually in the finished product, and I added some homemade salsa. I fermented some salsa with all those tomatoes that I got from the farmer's market. And so I added some of that salsa into it, and it turned out amazing. So just remember that, when you follow a recipe, it may not always turn out so good, but there are just simple things that you can do using stuff that you already have at home to, what I call save the day, right? Or in this case, save the dip. So I'm just going to take these and put them in the oven. I'm going to rinse off my hands really quick. Let's see, and we're going to bake these. We have to turn them after 15 minutes. So you're going to have to bake them about 30 minutes. So this recipe does take a little bit longer than 30 minutes. As you can see, it took a few minutes to put that together, and I will go ahead and do a second pan with what I have left. But I'm going to take you over here, and we're going to check on our broccoli. So I'm steaming some broccoli, and the thing to remember about broccoli is that you don't want to steam it too long to where it gets limp and it loses a lot of its color. Okay, so I have two different kinds of broccoli in here. I have regular broccoli, and then I have some broccolini, which is called baby broccoli. It's on a longer stem, and it's just really a real tender broccoli. So, and this is almost done. I've been watching that. And then I had so this weekend we had family in town. So we made burgers and I made fries, but they had these beautiful baby red potatoes at the farmer's market, again, which were grown locally. So you want to make sure you use your potatoes, of course, before they start growing those little sprouts out them, or if they turn green, that's a sign that they're not good anymore either. So I didn't want to take a chance on these, and so I just cut them in half, put them in a bowl. I used some fresh rosemary, some kelp, some fresh minced garlic, which was also grown locally that I bought at the farmer's market, and some avocado oil. And I just stirred that all together, laid them out on this pan, again, baked them for 15 minutes, and then I just kind of moved them around and baked them for another 30 minutes. And you can see that a few are missing. It's because I kept eating them. They're just so good. They just have such a wonderful flavor. And again, it was very little hands-on time. And that's what I want you to remember, is that it really doesn't take a lot of hands-on time. You just have to start with, start with one meal and then plan ahead. Planning is a big part of it. And so then what you do when these come out of the oven, then you want to dip the Parmesan in marinara sauce, or just put some on the top of it. And so I don't have any homemade marinara sauce, but I wanted to show you, I label, reading. And what was interesting is that most of the tomato sauces that I found, the first ingredient was tomato puree. And this particular one, the first ingredient is tomatoes. And then puree is further down on the list. And of course, the things on the top of the list are the most in the recipe, or in the ingredients. So that's really important to get a really good product. And again, tomatoes are heavily sprayed with pesticides. So buying organic tomatoes is really important. And so I have this marinara sauce, and I'm just going to, and you can just see what a rich, deep, dark color that has. I'm going to just heat up a little bit, depending on how many people you're feeding. And I'm just going to heat that up as well. And so I wanted to show you, so here's my zucchini, and it's in this, it's in a dark fermented jar. This is what's called an airlock, and you can ferment without an airlock. I did it for a long time, but I love using these because they help, there's little holes in the top of this. It helps the bad gases escape, and it keeps the air out, which is why they're called an airlock. But you can see my zucchini kraut right there, and this ferments in just a couple of days. And I want to show you some of my salsa. I've been having a lot of fun with all of this end of the summer stuff. So here's some salsa that I fermented. Again, salsa, it only takes a couple of days. I think I fermented this for 3 days. And why would I ferment it? Just because it helps give it probiotics, and probiotics help our gut not only to heal, but to digest. And it creates a bacteria in there that helps, defend against the bad guys that we don't want in there. And so I put this in the food processor and kind of made this a little bit, ground up. And then I also made some kind of like pico, where I didn't grind them up. They're just chopped up the tomatoes, peppers, onions, and I fermented that as well. And then I fermented some pickles, because you can go to the farmer's market and buy these huge bags of these little baby cucumbers. And when the pickle is done, when it goes all the way through, in other words, like when you slice open a cucumber, it's white on the inside, and you'll see this color, the green color goes all the way through now. And they're just amazing. And they were so easy to make. And now I've got pickles for a long time. So you store them in the brines, and so the brine's kind of cloudy because I had a bunch of different seasoning in there, but they are amazing. So that's just some of the things that I've been doing these past few weeks as we've been wrapping up summer, going into fall. And so thanks for joining me tonight. And again, the eggplant, I'm going to turn those over when the timer goes off, bake them for another 15 minutes. And then I'll just show you how I would put that. I'll just show you how I put the bowl together. Again, I just have my greens. If you wanted celery, onions, tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever you want to put in. Of course, the more veggies, the better, because veggies build cells and systems in our body. They just make us stronger. So trying to fit in as many veggies as you can is going to give you more energy and lead you to the health that you want. If you're struggling with your health right now or not feeling your best, think about when was the last time that you felt really, really good? And that's what you want to strive to do. And again, it's one bite at a time. And of course, there are many other variables in having good health, but eating is such a big part of our life that we've got to discover the healing power of food. And in order to do that, the only way to do that is get back in the kitchen. So I'm happy that you are in this group and watching this, and I hope that you can be inspired to just really focus on eating as much real food as you can. So again, I have my greens here. When the eggplant comes out, I will just put those eggplant pieces on, and I will just take, I'll probably take a few of these potatoes since I've already had so many, and then I have some garlic pesto that I made earlier in the week. And when you make homemade pesto, sometimes it will change color on the top. And all you have to do is just stir that in, and you can see underneath is just this bright green, kind of like guacamole, just oxidizes a little bit of air gets in there. And so I'm just gonna put a little bit of pesto on top of these potatoes, and then I'm going to take this broccoli and again, steamed veggies are also really good. It's a great combination. And so I'll just take a little bit of broccoli and put that on there. And then of course I'll put my eggplant on here. And then I would just spoon some of my marinara on top. And as you can see, it's just amazing. And I'll also probably put some of this pesto on my broccoli as well. You can also, add some olive oil. And then of course I've got my seasoning that I just put all over it, and I've got a bowl of absolute yum. So thanks for joining me tonight. And if you have a child or a grandchild, we have best school year ever. We pushed it back to October since we realized the beginning of the school year is so hectic, and there's just trying to figure out schedules. But if you go to showmehealthyliving.com, you can get on my email list and get a free download on setting up healthy habits so that your child can have a great school experience. And this is a short 4-week program. We're going to just pack in breakfast, lunch, dinner, what to do about sleep, how to help your child pay attention better at school. There's one thing in particular that we're going to really dive deep into. So I hope you will join me for that. It starts the first Wednesday in October, which I believe is October 3rd. And it's just a short 4-week program. So I will see you next week. Another thing to look forward to, my website is really coming along, and we are going to have, you're gonna have lots of access to a lot of recipes and just different healthy living tips to help you achieve the health so that you can live a life that's full and just really enjoy each and every day. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.